Stevie Crea Jr. was a Lucchese captain that handled one of the Bronx crews. I was formally introduced to him at the Lucchese Social Club, also in the Bronx, by Big John, who was my captain at the time. He had asked me, "You met Stevie's son, right?" I said that I hadn't. So he began the introduction. "This is Stevie, a captain with us, and this is John, amico nostro." And we shook hands. I found him to be very quiet, and my only other dealing with him was during the wake for Paulie Roast Beef's mother, where we spent a few hours together. My takeaway was that he conducted himself well and like a gentleman. Stevie Jr. is currently in a Massachusetts federal prison with the July 2028 release date. Let's discuss why he's in prison. There were two significant occurrences that took place in 2012 and 2013. The first, in 2012, was when Matty Madonna, the Lucchese acting boss, disrespected imprisoned Bonanno boss Mikey knows Mancuso. As a result, a group of guys consisting of Bonanno members and associates forced their way into the Lucchese club up in the Bronx. At some point, Bonanno associate Paul Olsheimer prevented Stevie Crea Sr., the underboss at the time, from entering the club. Essentially, Olsheimer disrespected him, causing Stevie to allegedly tell him, "I'll remember your face." Consequently, and according to court records, Stevie was so incensed by the disrespect that he wanted Olsheimer killed and passed that order to Stevie Jr., his son, who assigned Paulie Roast Beef Casano, a member of his crew. Casano and his associate, Vincent Bruno, began laying on Olsheimer's house in the Bronx with pistols. However, Olsheimer either took heed to Crea's warning or was told to watch himself and was not seen around his house. Nothing ever became of the assignment, and Olsheimer is someone who disrespected an underboss and lives to speak about it today. Subsequently, Casano and Bruno both pled guilty for their role in the attempt on Olsheimer. The second notable occurrence had to do with Michael Meldish, one of the leaders of the infamous Purple Gang. Meldish was having ongoing problems with Mikey Knows regarding a woman. This led to an assault of Meldish in Harlem outside of Rails by Bonanno members. A retaliatory shooting of a Bonanno member took place, one that was orchestrated by Meldish. And the final nail in his coffin, so to speak, was a beef with Matty Madonna over loan sharking money, where Meldish allegedly disrespected Matty. So an order was given to hit him. And again, according to records, that order was also passed to Stevie Jr. On November 15, 2013, Meldish was shot and killed, and records state that Lucchese member Chris Londonio, someone who was also in Stevie Jr.'s crew, and Terrence Caldwell, a close friend of Meldish, and the shooter of the Bonanno member just mentioned. Both of them were involved in setting Meldish up to be killed. Records also indicate Caldwell fired the fatal shot that night. I make mention of court records because I have no personal knowledge of exactly what took place, nor have I ever claimed to. I became a Lucchese member the same year Meldish was killed, and that incident was never spoken about. I think most viewers believe when a family carries out a murder, everyone's in the know, and that couldn't be further from the truth. After all, this was Bronx business, and we in Brooklyn didn't concern ourselves with what the Bronx did, just as they had no interest in anything we did. But more importantly, murders are not a subject that's loosely discussed, and for good reason. Most of you have heard me say on numerous occasions, one of the main reasons you don't hear of mob murders in present day is the amount of law enforcement heat it brings. And that's exactly what the Meldish murder caused. Tremendous heat. The FBI began investigating, and in time, all fingers pointed to the Lucchese family. It's been suggested by defense lawyers that it wasn't the Lucchese family who ordered the hit, but rather the Bonanno family, specifically Mikey Knows. And I want to explain to viewers something that's never been said. When you have a case, especially an organized crime case, what the lawyers say is a reflection of the defendants. And it's the reason why members of organized crime, ones who are on trial, need to approve anything their lawyers say. Because a lawyer's job is to beat the case for their client. They're not in the mob. So if permitted, they'll say whatever necessary to get an acquittal. With that said, the defense strategy for Matty Madonna, Stevie Crea, and Chris Londonio, and Caldwell was also a defendant, but I'm speaking about Lucchese members who were on trial, and their defense, via their lawyers, was to blame Mikey Knows and the Bonanno family. Now, a lot of people love to throw around the word rat. So I appeal to viewers. What do you call people who are on trial for a murder and let their attorneys put forth the defense, pointing the finger at a sitting boss and his family? The operative word being let, because as I mentioned, they're in control of what comes out of the mouth of their lawyers. So just because their lawyers suggested it, does that mean they're not responsible? Think about it. Anyway, I'll let the viewers be the judge of what took place because that's a fact. As far as the FBI goes, they salivate to lock people up. So does anyone believe that if during their investigation all fingers pointed to Mikey Nose and the Bonannos, they wouldn't have pursued it? Of course not. They just wanted to frame Stevie Crea and the Lucchese family on the murder. So much so that they would let Mikey Nose finish the time that he had left serving so he could walk out free and run the Bonanno family. According to Ted Otto, who was the senior agent for the C-17 Lucchese squad, had told me they had confidential informants, many of them, all of who gave information separately about exactly who was responsible for the Melnish murder. And these are people who don't want their identities known, which going to testify in open court would do. So they could never call these people as witnesses. In May 2017, 17 people were arrested, including the entire Lucchese administration. By 2018, I began cooperating, and on several occasions, Agent Otto told me that they had a Lucchese captain who was also cooperating. He never mentioned the person's name, but said it was going to blow their case wide open, that being the Melnish murder case. In August 2019, Stevie Jr. pled guilty to the racketeering conspiracy, conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering, and attempted assault with a deadly weapon in aid of racketeering. On January 23, 2020, in White Plains Federal Court, Judge Kathy Seibel sentenced Stevie Jr. to 13 years. And according to Agent Otto, who was in the courtroom that day, after Stevie Jr. received his sentence, and as he was being let out of the court gallery, his family, including his mother and brother, wouldn't even look at him. And I remember asking him why, and if it was because he pled guilty and his father didn't want him to. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. And for anyone who'd like to show appreciation for videos like this, or help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me remind everyone of my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. It can be found at sitdownnews.com and is subscription only. Agent Otto smiled and said the following: "No, it's more than that. Not long ago, I reiterated this story to someone that was very close to the case, and they said the following: that was Stevie Jr. who was cooperating, but he had a change of heart and he took a quick plea. I always felt it was him, especially when I was told that they had a captain who would blow their case wide open."